Hello, my name is Betty Smith with Scioto County Daily News. I have the pleasure of speaking with Mike Crabtree today, Commissioner of Scioto County, and also four-term elect. Yes, awesome to hear that. You know, that means you got a lot of history.
Right.
What I would like to do is, if it's fine with you, we can go in and talk about a few questions with the new election coming up, since we know it's like an important election this year.
Right.
So a couple things just to ask. We hear a lot about the MCO tax cuts or loss. Many of the viewers don't understand what that is or how it impacts the everyday lives. Can you explain?
Well, a large portion of our revenue that we actually put in the general fund that supplies the funding for all the other elected offices is sales tax revenue. And the Medicare portion of the sales tax, the Medicare healthcare portion of the sales tax that we got some time back, they advised us in 2017 that we were going to lose that, and it was guesstimated, and actually has been pretty accurate, to be about $2.1 million loss in revenue to our general fund. And the general fund is what we use to operate all the other offices for the most part, except the county engineer, he gets motor vehicle gas tax and some other things. And so some of your other offices has other funds that they can use for their day-to-day operations and for maintenance and stuff. And I think the sheriff gets the rotary fund and some things that he gets to use as well. But the Medicare portion, we lost $2.1 million annually on a pretty good hit to the general fund budget. And that was done because it didn't apply to the private MCOs.
Okay.
It only affected the Medicare MCOs, and the federal government said that they told the state that wasn't legal to do it that way unless it applied to all. They were reluctant to apply that to all of the Medicare providers or all of the HMO providers. So they just cut it out entirely, and when they did, all of the counties in the state of Ohio lost a huge amount of money, and Scioto County's amount was $2.1 million.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, thank you for that. Yeah, because that way it kind of maybe answers that question for those that are kind of hounding the news about it or something. I don't know. And then just another couple things, because we got a little bit of agenda, so we're just trying to ask some of the questions with him coming up as the new elect. Tell us about the other boards and groups that maybe you've served on or advisory.
One of the main groups is the board of directors. I'm on the board of directors at the County Commissioners Association in Ohio. And the County Commissioners Association provides a lot of services for us. Our County Risk Sharing Authority, or CORSA, is the ones that provide legal services when any one of the elected officials gets a lawsuit or something. CORSA handles that for us.
Oh, okay.
And as far as SEBCO is concerned, what a lot of people don't realize is here a few years back when we were in fiscal emergency, when Doug Coleman got elected, he and I took charge of the commissioner's office at that point in time because of the politics of it. And we decided we was going to get out of fiscal emergency, and what we did through the County Commissioners Association was that we discontinued our contract with Anthem, and we went through the self-insurance pool for our health care coverage, and we kept the same coverage. And our health care, people need to realize that's not CORSA. I think that was misquoted by the sheriff. It's not CORSA, it's SEBCO. And SEBCO is our self-insurance pool. And since we're using our own money to fund our health care program, we saved, I think it was $650,000 the first year over our previous year with Anthem. And to date, I think we've saved as much as $3.5 to $4 million.
So making those little
on
changes
healthcare.
help.
Yes,
Grow the revenue.
so that was a big factor in getting us out of fiscal emergency. We also, on the Shelton industry thing that we are locked into until 2025 from that issue that was done back in '79, we finally got in as far as the financial position where they raised our credit worthiness, and we was able to refinance those Shelton bonds to pay off at the same time, and we saved like $1.1 million on that as well.
Wow.
So we've done a number of things. We got rid of some extra weight. We kind of made a few changes, and we've saved enough money that we went from like several $1 million in the red to several $1 million in the black.
That's great.
Over a short period of time, and I think 2.5 years in, we actually got a plaque from the state of Ohio that was delivered by the auditor, Yost at the time.
Oh, okay.
And he hand delivered that to us because they were shocked that we came out of the fiscal emergency so fast.
Sometimes you got to tighten the belt, right?
You got to tighten the belt.
That's what I would say.
Actually, what we did really that part didn't really change what we were doing actually as far as within the county, because some of the services, the purchase services and stuff that we didn't need, we do that internally now, and so we just got rid of some excess weight, and we've actually, since we done that, we had enough money that we purchased the courthouse annex, and a lot of people may not know this, but the courthouse annex was in private hands up until just a few years ago when we managed to acquire that, and now that belongs to the county. We no longer pay rent on that. We saved enough on that to the first year to pay off a bonding issue.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I'm glad. Thank you for that. Yeah, and it's good to hear about those, where those budgets are coming together. You're in one of the two very important races that rely on good voter turnout, and the primary in just a few weeks. Your opponent or your supporter base, that is substantial. However, he has not responded to any multiple requests or any interviews. What would you say about the importance of talking directly to folks?
Well, I think people want to know what's happening in the county, and they want to know what we're doing, and they want to know they don't want to hear a bunch of secondhand rumors that are not exactly factual.
Right.
The reality is, we have been very open. We pretty much televise all of our meetings now, and we've been very open to people. If they want to know anything, they're welcome to come in our office any day of the week. We will explain exactly what we do, how the commissioner's office runs, and why it does what we do.
Right. It's good to be informative, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think some people want to know that. Maybe there's some that don't, but for the most part, people want to know that what we're doing is working. And another thing that people need to know is that, look, I've worked in a lot of different counties over the years, and one of the things that amazed me was why so much money was going to Hamilton County and Franklin County, Montgomery County, and Cuyahoga and some of those counties, and why so many of my friends was driving from Scioto County to Columbus or Cincinnati or doing the same things that I was to get a decent paycheck. But the reality is nobody, not even the unions, want the county to be broke.
Right.
Because you don't make things happen when the county is broke or in the red or in fiscal emergency. You have to have matching funds if you want to go after a grant funding, and if you want to go after money that's available to make things happen in the community. And those kind of things is what makes jobs, and that's what makes economic development. So, we've been pursuing that. Now, we are a rural county, and we've got to continue to work the way we're doing to make things happen. But we have pursued that continuously, and I have two fellow commissioners who has the same frame of mind and the same conservative attitude that I have, and we intend to make sure that Scioto County stays fiscally sound, and that we're prepared to be able to help things along and make
Ready
things
for the
happen.
growth.
Make things happen.
Yeah. Okay, so, and I'm kind of jumping around here a little bit, guys. Sorry about that. There are times that candidates say that the incumbent has been in office too long. And I've heard, like, oh, you've been here 3 or 4 terms now. It's time to get out with the old and in with the new. How do you feel about that?
Well, when I first ran, the county engineer at the time, Clyde Willis, told me that 2 terms is a long time for a county commissioner. And I would say this: we must be doing something right. Because all the offices get funded entirely. And back before Doug and I took control, we were sending people home on furlough days. The county was just struggling to get by. And as a matter of fact, Tom, Skip, and myself was donating part of our paychecks back to at least cover our employees so that they didn't lose their paycheck when they were, losing their furlough days and stuff. They were losing hours that way, and we created a little Adobe account, and we put money into that and help offset some of that for them. So, but we have done a lot more since we got out of fiscal emergency, and again, you can't make that happen if you're in the red. Right now, all the offices have continuously got fully funded, including the sheriff. As a matter of fact, 2019, I know I seen the same article in Facebook where he was shorted 2017, 18, and 19, but the reality is we gave him an extra $872,000 in 2019, and he was fully funded at the end of the year. So, and we've had to dip into some of that money that the county or the state gave us to offset the losses in the MCO thing. Now, they didn't give us that money to spend the first year. They gave us money so that we had time, to make changes and to work on ways of saving money so that we could level out over a period of time. But you don't do that by taking all that money and going out here and spending it on something.
You got to budget it, right? You got to plan it out. And I think what the state of Ohio and the County Commissioners Association and our lobbyists have done with the internet sales and stuff, they're collecting taxes on that now, and what they've done with that has boosted our revenue on sales tax. I think that's great.
It's not going to be as much as what we lost on the MCO thing, but it's going to be somewhere to the tune of about 2/3, I think.
Oh, okay.
And it may be a little more than that. By the end of this year, they'll know for sure. But,
okay. Well, I'm glad that they're finally figuring that out with the whole internet sales tax too, because I know that was all kind of in the beginning. They was trying to figure out how to place that.
Right.
So
well, at one time there was only a few that were collecting it. I think as of the end of last year, all the states were on board collecting the internet sales tax.
Oh, good.
So,
go to the right areas, yeah.
Right.
Okay, let's see. We've been kind of, going over this a little bit. What has been your role in helping the Scioto County Dog Shelter? They were kind of like on a downswing, but now they're kind of it looks like they're going in the right direction. Have you had any part in that, or?
Well, what the commissioner's office did, we don't micromanage that office, but what we did was we put a new director out there who was looking at ways to not only save money, but he had ideas on how to collect more, to sell more dog tags and collect more revenue for the dog pound that way. And he's also, I think he's made some adjustments out there, and I don't know what all those are. You probably have to talk to him to get an in-depth idea of what everything he's done, but it seems like they're collecting a lot more revenue. Things are operating more smoothly. Some of the dogs are being adopted out, and some are they're taking them to Columbus, Ohio, and getting them adopted out.
I was going to say, I did interview them, and they told me that, yeah.
So they're trying to they're trying to get away from euthanizing dogs unless they are just absolutely beyond help.
Okay.
And so, that's a good thing. You don't
Yes.
want to kill any animals, or they have a right to life as well. So, so we're trying to do what we can to make things work. And
I know one thing, and I always clear this up when I talk to folks about the dog tags in general. That is a state mandate. I think a lot of times people think, oh, the commissioners did that, but I want to make that clear.
no, it's a state law.
Yes.
You have to tag your dogs. I have 4 dogs. They're house dogs. A lot of people think if you got a house dog, you don't have to buy tags.
Right.
I've got 4 house dogs, and they're wearing a collar and a tag. And one of them's a Chihuahua, 2 Yorkies, and a wire-haired terrier, and all 4 of them have a tag. And the reality is the state of Ohio mandates that we collect fees for the dog tags, and that's why you pay for dog tags.
Because I pushed that real hard up to January 31st, trying to tell people. So.
Right. Well, that's not something the commissioners did, but we do have a hand in trying to make sure that the animals are cared for.
Right.
So
that's good. Yeah. That way, again, that's reinforming everybody. I guess in general, tell us about the access to the Scioto County bus service. How do you feel about that, or is that going in a good direction?
Well, Access Scioto County provides a service for people who are low income and it's a very good thing. A lot of their money comes from ODOT and it comes from grant money, and so they, although they have paid employees, they work as a nonprofit. And so they provide a good service for elderly, for veterans, disabled veterans and different things like that. And they help people get to and from the doctor and different things. And they really don't make money, but the money that funds that office, for the most part, is from the state.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. And again, and I personally think you guys need that service. So,
yeah. Well, in Scioto County, there's a lot of people that really need help getting to and from the doctor and someplace to get their groceries, and I think it's a good thing, and it's been a good thing, and Larry has done a wonderful job with that ASC office out there. So
yeah, so I'm glad you guys have that. Let's see here. Well, okay, they're saying the county commissioners are ultimately in control of the finances, and Meigs County has implemented like a quarterly report requirement. How are you guys doing that? Are you doing anything different, or?
Well, we've done that back, it's been probably about 10 years ago, and we've done that under the advice of the state. And the problem with that, to explain that a little better, first, people need to know that at the beginning of the year, we get a guesstimate of our resources. It's an estimate of what we're going to get for the year. And that's what goes on the certified budget. And that is what we have to appropriate.
Okay.
And like some years, we'll get a budget of 16 million, and budget requests from the elected offices as much as 22, 23 million. Well, you can't appropriate beyond that certified budget. Okay. So when we tried to do that early in the year, and we tried to do like a quarterly budget, what we found was it was creating a headache for the auditor, because in the first quarter they was running out of money. And so they were doing budget transfer requests from the second quarter to the first quarter. Then the second quarter, they were in worse shape because they had taken money out for the first quarter, and so they were doing the same thing again, only there were more of them, and they were kind of skyrocketing. But usually by the end of the second budget, we will get a amended certificate, and it usually reflects additional revenue, and we start filling holes. And then,
But you can't do nothing until you get that.
You can't do anything until you get, it's not a good idea to do anything until you get that, because you don't want to dip into like rainy day funds or set aside money until you get that.
Right.
I mean, nobody gets 52 paychecks in January. You get a paycheck every 2 weeks or every week, however you're paid. And what you have to do is you have to work with that. So what we have tried to do is we don't dip into our, our savings account at home. You try to work with your paycheck first, and then you do what you have to do. What we do is we work with the certified budget, then we work with the amended certificates, and then we work with our carryover money. And everybody gets fully funded by the end of the year. Okay. And most people, we don't get too many complaints from most people because they understand it's been done that way year after year after year.
Right.
We've been getting complaints from the sheriff, seems like about every year, but the reality is he gets fully funded by the end of the year as well.
Right. So it still balances out, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Lawrence County just launched the new website a couple months ago. Just a few weeks later, all Scioto County websites, I guess, went down or they had some problems. Do you see that future-wise, anything? I mean, was it just a domain thing or?
Well, it was our server. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a problem internally. It was our server went down. So, I think. I guess the best way to explain that is that, when your electric goes off, because of an ice storm, right. You can make a lot of phone calls, but you can't necessarily solve the problem. When you're dealing with someone else's providing that service for you, you got to make your phone calls and try to encourage them to get you back online as quick as possible. But there needs to be a better system. We need a backup system on that, and I think we're working in that direction.
Okay, because I know usually they call it like a disaster recovery type thing, right, where they can and maybe get, like you said, a faster up service to that.
Right. Well, if we had a backup, say we had a backup server, we could do that. I know at home I have a hotspot, and I don't know if you're familiar with hotspot, but a hotspot is like a little square thing about like a cell phone, and you can actually activate one of those, and you have a certain amount of data that you can use.
Yeah.
Unless the battery goes dead in it, but you've got to keep those charged too. But the reality is like if my internet goes down, I could go back to my hotspot.
And that way you have something.
I have that, and I think Scioto County, we haven't had too much trouble with something like that. But when it does go down, it's a disaster for the Board of Elections and different things, and so we're trying to figure out what we can do to get a better server and maybe get a backup system.
Because it does, I know just working in websites in general too, a lot of time, you'll just get something that'll come out and just all hit at once and like a power surge, I guess, like you said.
Right, and you can't do anything. There's some things you just can't do anything about. You've got to come up with an idea of how you're going to get back online as quick as possible, and maybe the answer would be something like a backup system. Okay. So we'll look into that as well.
And to close out with this, which I think is, and I guess to be important because, we've been pushing voting a whole lot and trying to get people to register. But after voter registration closed on February 18th, the Board of Elections reports that there are 44,316 registered voters in Scioto County. What can you tell those voters that are still on the fence about Mike Crabtree that they should support you to hire for another 4 years of term?
Well, I will tell you this, we've been very successful in keeping the county solid financially. We've been conservative to some degree. Some offices may not like exactly what we're doing, but it sure beats what was here back in the day. And we've got a system that we use, and as long as I'm here, I'm gonna keep pushing forward. We're still going to be, we're going to look at grant opportunities and things, and anything we can do to make our community better. One of the things that would help Scioto County, is to try to beautify what you have, because it encourages people. I've seen communities like in Cincinnati, Mariemont. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's a very beautiful little community, and everybody wants to live there. If we make our community beautiful, everybody's going to want to be here. And so we need to try to work harder with the city of Portsmouth to fix, ugly spots and try to make our community beautiful and try to encourage people to be here. And, the commissioner's office is very willing to work with the city of Portsmouth. I know you hear a lot of things about different conflicts that come up between the city of Portsmouth and the commissioners, but I think right now, for the most part, we've been working very well with the city of Portsmouth, and we're going to continue to pursue that as well. But I will tell you that, we don't ever want to go back to where we were.
Right.
We don't need to be in fiscal emergency, because when you're in fiscal emergency, what you have is a courthouse that leaks. You have plaster falling down the stairwells. You have no grant opportunities, and you have not much you can do.
Right.
It takes money to do things, and if you don't keep money in the county coffers, you're not going to do much. And we have done everything we can to take care of the taxpayer dollars, and we're going to, as long as we're here, I know Brian and Kathy has the same frame of mind as I do. We're going to do everything we can to make sure that we take care of the taxpayers' dollars.
Thank you for that. I know we're closing on this, so I'm just going to ask this little question about the outdoors here with the fencing. Is there anything that you'd just like to add to that, so people are kind of, questioning?
Well, the fence is a security fence. And what a lot of people may not know, or may or may not know, but for years, a lot of the courthouses around us and most of the big cities have been going to courthouse security. And it's a sign of the times. You're going to have to go through security inside the lobby, and there's going to be fences, and there's going to be things like that. They may not be things of beauty, but the people that are driving the security is the Supreme Court. And, I liked it when I could just drive up out there and get out and come in the courthouse.
Right.
I mean, I grew up back in the 50s when you didn't worry about someone coming in shooting up a schoolhouse, or someone shooting up the courthouse, or someone, doing something crazy. I mean, it was good times in the 50s and 60s. And now, things, it seems like every day you hear about a shooting somewhere. And we have to protect our employees here. We have to protect the courthouse, and the Supreme Court demands it. So the fence is going up out there. It's a chain link. I've seen those fences go up around some pretty elaborate houses too. So I guess it's beauty's in the eyes of the beholder. Maybe some people won't like the looks of the fence, but I think it's here to stay.
And it's for the safety, I guess, of all. So
it's one of them things that we have to do. And whether you can love it or hate it, but it's a part of what you have to do in today's society. And I apologize for that, but I'm like so many other people. We can't understand why that people have gotten to that point in life where they have to shoot someone up or do whatever they have to do, or even, God help us, all the drug problems we have here either.
Right.
So, but we do have a lot of problems in every community, and all of the courthouses in the state of Ohio. Eventually, if they're not there now, they will be right where we are.
Because I'm used to that. I mean, just coming from Columbus, I was used to that. And then down here, I was shocked when you guys first didn't have that security.
Right.
So, I guess you're right. It is a sign of the times, because it's going to hit every area.
Well, we were the holdouts. I mean, we've done all we could, because back in the day, we didn't have enough money to do anything. We were in the red.
Right.
Severely. So, that was one of the things that we just tried to do everything we could here at the courthouse. We put the roof on the courthouse as an emergency project so that we could get it done, and we got it done at a lower price, and we got a lot of flack from that. But the reality was that we had only one option, and that was two, actually: do nothing, and that wasn't an option, or do what we did with the roof. And we started doing things a little bit at a time with whatever we could come up with, and now, I don't know if people notice it, but there's a little area at a time that we have reclaimed in the courthouse, even on the 4th floor.
Right.
And so it's starting to look a lot better here. I've gotten a lot of compliments over the years from some of the things that we've done to make it look better, but we're doing everything we can with whatever resources we can get, and we're trying to take care of those resources in the process.
Right.
So, some people love us for that, and some people don't care too much about us for that. But the reality is if
got to prioritize, I guess. Yeah.
Well, you don't have money by spending money. You have money by saving money.
Right. Well, again, I want to thank Mike Crabtree, Commissioner of Scioto County, also up for election again for Super Tuesday, which is March 17th. Again, this is Betty Smith with Scioto County Daily News. And again, just stay in tuned and be ready to vote.